If you've never seen me before, I am B Shonen. I normally stream on Twitch. But today, I am streaming Beyond All Reason. Or I'm recording Beyond All Reason. So, like I said, it's just a test. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot with what Beyond All Reason is. It's a free RTS. Actually, I guess I have time. It's not like we gotta wait till the game starts anyway. Beyond All Reason is a free RTS. It can run on most computers. Even, I won't say full-on potato PCs, but it can run on CPU-only PCs, because I've done it before. It's a very lightweight, efficient RTS. Set in the same vein as Total Annihilation, so as a crash course, the goal is to kill all of the enemy commanders. We're setting the spawn points for the commanders right now. There are 3 resources that you need to balance. You have to use those resources to build buildings, you use the buildings to build units, and you use units to kill commanders. It's very simple. The resources are metal, energy, and build power. Build power is your ability to use your... or it's how fast a unit can build things. The more build power something has, the more energy and metal it uses to build them. So you have to balance your income of those resources while against the expenditure in building. Now, for 8v8 games, we'll be using simple team colors. Now, the rules to team colors. Whichever team I have selected is considered the ally team, which means they will be blue. I will do my best to keep them the same color the entire time. This way, large games like this are a little bit more, a little bit easier to watch. So the game begins. On blue team, we're at All That Smolders, a variation of a map called All That Glitters, which is a very famous PvP map among the community. We have a long, quite open stretch of land that'll connect to these 3 frontline players on either side. And then we have the cliff player. He'll start on an elevated position. So he'll be in direct combat, but he'll have a more defensible location. Then we have the rear players. Normally what people will do is at least 2 of these will play a front line. One of them will focus on producing air units. And the last one will focus on economy production, because if you're overproducing economy, so if you're making more metal and energy than you need, you will automatically share it to your teammates. So normally in an 8v8 game, you'll have one player dedicated to the purpose of getting a large scaling economy as fast as possible. Now the 3 frontline players here for blue team: One Lucky Duck, Binbag the Wizard, and Autistic Alpaca. We're gonna have 1 bot lab and 2 vehicle labs. Bots being quite a bit faster, but less health and firepower. I think two vehicles and 1 bot is a pretty good balance. You have a good amount of firepower, but somebody on the team can still play a more fast-paced game. On the other side, red team here, Okamiza, Ploplo, and Berry Oatmeal are our frontline players. On this side, we'll have 2 vehicle plants and a bot plant, although the alignment on who's fighting what is going to be slightly different. Our bot player will be fighting mostly vehicles, and, well, actually, I think the way they're lined up right now, Should see bots and vehicles engaging about at the same time. We have a scout wave coming out. Fast agile units, good for raiding an enemy base in the early game, but mostly good for establishing what's going on in the map. As we can see, Captain Tucker here has actually built a small squad. We have some early combat. Nope, just a single red scout running around in the red or in the blue base. Not enough to be too much of a nuisance, but 5 scouts is definitely enough to be a nuisance. And here we have blue team here running some scouts into the southern side of the red map, looking for exposed bases. They're going to take out a metal extractor. Pretty much for free there. You can see how low the HP is. Just the explosion of the metal extractor was almost enough to kill. Yeah, we had the chain reaction there. The explosion of the metal extractor enough to kill several scouts. Gonna get in, not quite microing very well. Stops right in front of the windmills and taken out by a couple of tanks. Very oatmeal, minor delay. Although he'll only have to replace 1 mech. But up here in the north side, one lucky duck is running actual tanks up into the red cliff player here. He'll kill 1 constructor. He is surrounded by combat units, but he's running into some rocket bots right now. Rockets are very slow-moving projectiles, so they're easy to duck and weave around. Hard to hit moving targets with those. As we can see, these rockets just barely clipping the lead tank and the trailing tank here. 2 of them max HP, 2 low HP. 4 tanks still more than enough, but Kanth, with his commander, is going to come up and stop this attack. He'll use his D-gun to take him out. Not much done there by that tank raid. Both teams are now meeting at about near the center. Blue's a little bit more organized and set up properly here. Generally speaking, you want to advance towards the center of the map, because that at least guarantees that you've got half of these metal extraction spots. Now, you can only build metal extractors on these spots, so it's very important to hold as many of them as possible. And as you can see, we have a scout wave coming in. I don't think this blue wave is going to get anywhere, though. There's only 8 scouts there. They're going to get picked out by Ploplo's infantry here. Some grunts come in, start doing some cleanup. Half the scouts die just like that. There's too many red units here. These scouts won't do anything. He simply stops microing the scouts. No point in trying to run them in any further. As you can see, there's some bonus metal spots here in the middle of this map. These produce 3.2 metal per second. Normal spots only produce 1.8 metal. So controlling these more expensive bonus spots is very important.
Commander self-destructed.
Down here, blue commander. The eco player self-destructing his commander. Why would he do that, you might ask? Commanders are powerful units with a lot of build power, but they also leave a lot of metal when killed. Eco players to get
Commander self-destructed.
2 players have self-destructed on the blue team, actually, which is abnormal. But you can see he's using his construction turret to eat the commander here. That's 1,200 metal that he can pick up. And he's doing that because he should be preparing for a tier 2 production facility. Here at the here at the middle, red team and blue team jousting here with some units. Some basic skirmishing here. Multiple plasma bots, rockets and missiles flying. A lot of standoff distance right now. Nobody's doing anything particularly daring yet, just holding the line at the moment. If you put no pressure on the enemy, rocket bots, particularly these here, like the aggravators, and really lay the hurting on some static defense. So you want to make sure you have some units forward to kind of create enough distance between you and the rocket bots that you don't lose all of your static. What do I mean by static? I mean emplacements, combat emplacements that do not move. We have a blue squad here, a whole bunch of light tanks just going straight up the hill of red team's cliff. Surrounded on both sides by thugs, taking a lot of plasma fire. I don't think these tanks will get anywhere near the economy. Looks like 2 tanks just barely might get through here. They did, in fact, get through. They'll take out 1 metal extractor. 1 tank still there. That metal extractor is exposed. This 1 tank might save this run. 2 metal extractors down. That's about as good as you can expect. He'll get taken out by some gunships. Not too bad so far. Now, normally all the players would be individually colored, but for 8v8s, I'm playing with team colors just to keep it a little bit easier to see. If you guys prefer individual colors, please let me know. That's also why I'm not referring to the players much by their names. This can be pretty hard to remember individual names during an 8v8. So we'll be keeping it to just considering them red team and blue team. Front line, back line, those kinds of terms will make it easy to understand what's happening without necessarily having to be staring at the screen to know. And just so you know, this is actually a live game, although I'm not streaming it live, but this is a live game right now, so. These players are engaged in lethal battle right here, right now. Spectator shouting out David Skinner on YouTube. I don't know if he does tutorials or what. In the south side here, a whole battalion of rocket bots for red coming up the hill, but they're going to be inhibited by these walls. That's right, just walls. Walls are very important in this game. It's very easy to overlook them because you think, oh, with all this artillery, firepower being thrown around, walls. I mean, how could such a simple thing be so valuable? Well, I'll tell you, with 2800 HP, it actually takes quite a lot of firepower from tier 1 units to take a wall down. Plus, they inhibit movement, stop things like that. Rocket bots trying to walk up the hill, no problem. Walls in the way will make it to where they have to coil around the wall or blow the wall up. Put a stop to that attack pretty convincingly. Both teams now holding at the center. Red team has a considerable force on the south side. Ploplo and Barry Oatmeal here. Building up a large number of forces here, however. Blue team Cliff player with a couple of artillery, mobile artillery there. Keeping red on his toes. At the midfield, Okamiza for the red team coming forward with some missile trucks. He's going to just start engaging the rocket bots, perhaps. He's going to stay just out of range. He's actually picked off a res bot there. Whistler missile trucks here have a range of 700, whereas these rocket bots only have a range of 475. So these rocket bots are outranged at the moment. Vehicles also do quite a lot of damage and have more HP than bots generally. So this is a... Blue player at the middle here is outmatched. Autistic Alpaca losing quite a few rocket bots here. Leaving a little bit of metal behind. When enemies die, or, well, not enemies, but when units die, they have a chance to leave behind wreckage if they're not overkilled. Anybody can reclaim that wreckage, so pushing too far into the enemy and losing a bunch of units could be a surefire way to face a counterattack. Down here in the south side, another rocket bot push, this time by BNW-15. Coming in with the red units here. Looks like the response by Captain Tucker is good. He's pulling back completely with the rocket bots on the red team. Trying to avoid overcommitting. Rocket bots not very good at fighting directly against units in... it's kind of like, you know, think old time warfare. Oh, hang on. Before we talk about that, we've got an attack on the north side here. The Cliff player coming down with tanks. Just going to directly engage Binbag the Wizard. Gets a D-gun shot off. Triple kill on the tanks. He's backing his commander off. Commander's almost at half health. Most of the static is gone. Got thugs, plasma bots coming down the hill, rocket bots, artillery. We've got a good healthy mix here. Blue team is now pinging this location. It's looking like Binbag the Wizard is gonna die here.
Commander destroyed.
A commander destroyed. The first one of the game. First one to die to enemy fire of the game. Blue team a little late to react here. One Lucky Duck is coming in with a whole bunch of light tanks. Sorry, medium tanks. Got a few light tanks in the mix, but mostly medium assault tanks here coming in to try and deflect most of this attack. Prevent it from getting any worse. Red team pretty much owns the north side now. This attack is big enough, it could go all the way through. Just one unit is getting through the far north side. A couple of thugs break off and they head towards the towards just south of where this engagement took place, trying to do a quick run by, but thugs are not very fast. They'll get caught by the tanks and cleaned up no problem. That's not the last of the attack though. There's still more units. I think maybe throwing them in piecemeal like this was a mistake. Rascal here in the red, trying to look for probing around for any kind of gap in the defenses there. Wasn't able to find any. Lost most of his units. He's on the retreat now. Center field, red and blue are engaged in hellish combat. There's 5,000 metal built up right now from all the corpses on the field. Rocket bots being pulled in. B&W coming in on the south end of this engagement is getting some free shots off. Blue seems to have stopped microing for a moment. Units back on the move now. It's a Centurion anti-swarm bot, not very useful in this case. Very short range. He's going to go down without getting even a single shot off. Things have stabilized at the north. Blue counterattack though, coming up the cliffside, but the commander is there. He's going to get D-gun shots off. Every single tank goes down. 10 tanks dead just like that. Back down to the middle here. B&W with his rocket bot line. Getting quite a lot of pain in here for the blue team. He's pulling his rocket bots back. And blue is going to walk straight into Barry Oatmeal's armor column. Tanks, missile trucks, and a little artillery there. Good mix of units. Something for every range. Completely cleans up the rest of that counterattack. What's it look like for air? Both teams' air units currently producing mostly anti-air fighters. However, red is making use of their gunship production. Gunships, very low DPS. Not a very useful unit most of the time. They're a little harder, though, for ground units to fire against. So as long as the opponent doesn't have any anti-air, they can add a little bit of DPS to a fight while being relatively out of danger. Ground units can shoot at air units. They don't have to be anti-air. But anti-air is particularly suited to the task. Gonna turn up the audio here a little bit. I just realized it's a little quiet, so hopefully it sounds a little better. Remember, this is a test game. Getting things together. I'll be going back in the post to see how this video came out. But for now, we're a little wrapped up in the action here. What do we have for tier 2? Autistic Alpaca, currently at tier 2, but he's working on his energy production right now. Not making any units, just resolving to hold with what he's got. 2 red commanders right at the front. What are they both doing out here? They're both starved for energy right now. They're trying to get the metal. There's a lot of metal. 3,000 metal still left out here at the center. Blue team is completely ignoring it. Red pulling their commanders forth to try and salvage some of this wreck will get a lot of income. They'll need that metal. Because I think they're a little behind the curve, perhaps, on tier 2 right now. How much? What are we looking at here? Ploplo with tier 2. Okamiza is about to finish his. Barry Oatmeal already finished with his, so looks like we're gonna see some tier 2 fights here shortly. Tier 1 units, the last of their kind on the field. We got some Sheldons at midfield though. Red's the first one to field some tier 2 units, and it's gonna be the Sheldons getting a long range. Completely able to outrange any kind of blue static defense, especially on tier 1. There's gonna be nothing here to stop this. Blue's on the fucking retreat right now. Oh, pardon the language, but if you're sorry, when I get excited, I just keep going. This is a rated M. We are rated R on this, okay? So let's relax here, okay? I got a beer in one hand and a chocolate parfait in the other. The only thing I'm missing is the cacophony of artillery and thousands of dead troops on the field. We got a violent quadrilateral forming right now, okay? So if I pop off with some profanity, please enjoy the show. You don't like that sort of thing. There's plenty of clean commentators around here, but I'm going to bring a little bit more of a rough energy to this scene, okay? I'm not playing around here, all right? I mean, I am playing around. I'm casting a video game. But you know what I meant. Three red commanders at the front. Feeling completely safe here, doing plenty of salvaging right now. Red actually has quite the advantage. Blue looked like they had a significant advantage here, but they were definitely behind on fielding tier 2 units, but that's about to end. Blue's got their own Sheldons at midfield, with radar and a radar jammer bot. These Sheldons will be able to pick out radar signatures wherever they're at. The radar jammer will also prevent them from being visible until they're in visual range, which is going to be hard for them to acquire. Red team will have a hard time acquiring these when their range is 850, quite a considerable combat distance. You can see on the screen that ring there that is right around these units. That is their combat distance. It's quite far. But Red has his own Sheldon, so if he can acquire visual on these Sheldons, he'll be able to land shots of his own. Blue's coming in, just getting free shots right now. That jammer bot just absolutely making it completely easy to take care of this middle section here. Ploplo probably cannot see them at the moment. We have some scout spam coming in. Scout spam typically used to try and find holes in the defense or at least tie up any kind of chaff production. And also a good way to keep units going into the field while you work on your experimental gantry. We will have tier 3 here soon enough. But he looks like he's kind of tied up in resources here. BNW. Currently completely starved for metal, doing the best he can. Let's take an overarching look at the field right now. At the middle. Red team currently mostly in control, but this cluster of Sheldons protected by the radar jammer for blue team. Owned by Autistic Alpaca. Currently the only thing standing in between them and Annihilation. There isn't actually a whole lot out there, but there is more incoming. Got medium heat ray tanks coming to the middle. At the north, however, Rascal is currently mass producing some Sheldons, and by mass producing I mean he's really cranking them out. We've got quite a few on the field already. There's no push yet. Somebody is now spamming, Alpaca is now spamming tier 1 units. Just sending them straight into the meat grinder here, trying to see perhaps how much you can get away with. We have a scout wave coming in. These are actually going to close to within weapons range, but scouts do not do a lot of DPS, so even though there were a lot of them, they get cleaned up pretty easily. But one thing I will say about scouts, it's very easy to cause friendly fire. There is full friendly fire in this game, so if scouts run into the middle of your line and all your units start shooting at themselves, they will do a lot of damage. We finally have an attack. Blue is on the push. Right here at the top, one lucky duck runs in, kills the commander. Easy. Down to his south. Alpaca's running in. He's jousting a little bit. Standing off with the Sheldons. Sheldon v Sheldon. We got artillery versus artillery here. Ploplo keeping his commander right there at the front. A little bit of a dangerous distance here. BNW actually has some hounds over here. Could be pulling them in right now, but there's only a few, so perhaps he's just trying to hold back just in case. Down at the bottom, 5 starlights. Somehow, for some reason. What is Barry doing? Starlights have to be facing a certain direction to even fire. Oh my, this is a mistake. They've chain reaction. 5 starlights dying is that's a problem. That's a major mistake. Those are very expensive. I think he may have rallied them into the front by accident. They got stuck at the bottom of the cliff, and the artillery just targeted them down. That might be. Oh, he does have some tier 2 stationary artillery up here. Autistic Alpaca sending out the reminder. Get anti-nuke. Does anybody have nukes yet? I think we do. Yes, we do. And we are not that far from seeing it finished. Kanth currently producing a nuclear whistle. A whistle? A nuclear whistle? What are we saying here, chat? However, there is a good, pretty good blanket of anti-nuke for the most part. This northern outpost by red, nukeable. The bottom left here, nukeable, but not much would be lost if he goes down there. However, blue actually has relatively little anti-nuke right now, but it doesn't matter. Down in the bottom. That tier 3 gantry we were talking about earlier, several Marauders produced just simply running clear through the red defenses, just completely ignoring the static. They get a commander kill. That's going to put blue team at 7 commanders versus red team's 4. Sorry, I think I'm back. I think I'm backwards again. Yeah, I am backwards. Other way around. It's a little hard to keep it in track. These Marauders are going to get into the back line. However, this player is not a huge contributor to the economy right now overall, so I actually think he's going to be fine. The fighter walls are going to crash into each other now. Red sends the entire fighter wall in, and he's coming in. Somebody's coming in. Barry Oatmeal following up with a tank rush. Tier 1 tanks, Tier 2 coming up behind them. The south may completely collapse here. Looks like all of the Marauders, 4 of them still remain. They're getting into the back line completely right now. It's just chaos in the back. Complete chaos in the back. These Marauders are single-handedly taking out the entire blue team in the back row. Right now, Phosphophyllite, the victim of this Marauder attack. Finally, a Razorback comes in. Palms brought a Razorback, but a huge chain reaction! Oh my god. Buildings will explode when destroyed, and there's a massive chain reaction. Takes out a huge portion of the economy. The blue team, or whatever team this is at this point. Maybe I should turn the simple team colors off. I'll just refer to them as their respective teams and leave the individual colors on, because it's kind of hard to keep them the same color. A 25-minute slaughterfest. Red team ran them over. Right there at the end. Blue team put up a good fight, but... 5 Marauders, that's all it took. A good game. We'll be back for more.